from the book First Flight, A Letter to God by G.L. Fewens. Now, I'm going to give you the self evaluation test as usual with a few MCQs also. Then there'll be theme, message, and irony. I've also planned a revision schedule for all of you, which I'll be sharing in a day or two. And of course, you will get all this at English for All Reasons Good. And we will be starting with the revision dose soon. Now, the chapter. So, very quickly, we will do what is the story and then we'll come to the self evaluation test, theme, message, and irony. So, now the story is like this. Lencho's was the only house on the crest of a low hill. From this height, one could see the river and the field of ripe corn dotted with flowers that always promised a good harvest. Now, the important phrases that can be asked in the extract, so I'll be giving you the meanings of those phrases and I'll be explaining a few lines that are important ones in Hindi also because there are few of my students who want a Hindi explanation also. So I'll try to do it in both the languages. Now, here the meaning of promised a good harvest. So promised a good harvest, it means that the crop it was ripe and at a stage to give good money to लेंचो. So जो crop थी वो पूरी तरह पक चुकी थी तो इस टाइम अगर लेंचो अपनी crop को harvest करे तो उसको अच्छा उसका return मिलेगा. But only one thing that was required at that time, and that was a downpour or at least a shower. So, throughout the morning, Lencho, who knew his fields intimately, had done nothing else but see the sky towards the northeast. So, Lencho सुबह से स्काई की तरफ देख रहा था बिकॉज सिर्फ एक बारिश चाहिए थी और उसके बाद उसकी क्रॉप का उसे अच्छा रिटर्न मिलता सो देयरफॉर who knew his fields intimately. Now, this is again an important expression. What it means? It means that Lencho, he was a man of farming and was well versed with what his crop required. He could read and judge the weather condition. So, उसे अपनी farming के बारे में बहुत knowledge थी. So, he was an intelligent farmer. Therefore, he could judge what his crop required. So at that time, he knew that his crop just required one rain, a shower. And he could also read the movement of clouds and wind. He could feel the wind also. So therefore, throughout that day, he was looking towards the sky and he was waiting for the rain. Now, he could read the sky and therefore that day he predicted that they'll be getting some rain. So he predicted that they are going to get some rain. He announces this to his family, and the whole family is hopeful. Now, what happens after that? So, as he had predicted, big drops of rain they began to fall. So Lencho, he went out to enjoy the rain and he exclaimed. So he just went out because he was waiting for rain. So he was so excited. He went out to feel, to have the pleasure to feel the rain on him. So he went out and then he exclaimed, these aren't raindrops falling from the sky. They're new coins. So rain actually at that time meant for him new coins. So this is again a metaphor that is used by the author. So raindrops at that time seemed to be like new coins because they were going to give him a good return. So he further said that the big drops, so these big drops, they are 10-cent pieces and the little ones, they are fives. Now after that, so new coins because it meant good crop meaning good money. So this I've already explained. So he called raindrops as new coins because they were going to give him good return of his crop. तो उसे बिकॉज कि अब बारिश पड़ने लग गई है उस बारिश की वजह से उसकी जो है क्रॉप का उसको अच्छा रिटर्न मिलने वाला था सो दैट इज व्हाई ही कॉल्ड रेन ड्रॉप्स एज न्यू कॉइन्स. Now, with a satisfied expression, he regarded, so regarded here means looked and observed, the field of ripe corn with its flowers. So he was standing in the rain and he was looking at his field with a satisfactory look. So he was looking, he was observing, and maybe in his heart he was feeling that thank God it is raining and now I'm going to get good return, and throughout the year they would be leading a satisfactory life. Satisfactory in the sense they'll have food to eat. So after that, what happens? But suddenly, a strong wind began to blow, and along with the rain, very large hailstones began to fall. So suddenly, the rain it changed into storm and hailstones began to fall. So these truly did resemble new silver coins. Now the hailstones, they resembled new silver coins. Now why new silver coins here? So thunderstorm is there, and you can see here it changed into rain, it changed into storm, and hailstones, big hailstones, they started to fall. Now the you can look at the size of the hailstones. So therefore hailstones, they were also shining, they were lustrous, but now they resembled silver coins because they were bigger. So cents, they're smaller, so therefore raindrops, they looked like cents, but the hailstones, he calls them as silver coins. So author, he calls the hailstones as silver coins. So his sons, they ran out and they gathered silver coins, the hailstones in their hand, to have a feel of the frozen pearls. But Lencho knew that this is bad for his crop. So it is really getting bad now, exclaimed the man. I hope it passes quickly. But it did not pass quickly. So what happened? It rained along with hailstorm for an hour. So for an hour, पूरा एक घंटा hailstorm जो है उसकी बरसात होती रही. So the field was white as if covered with salt. So you can see the whole field, it was covered with hailstones as if it was covered with salt, and the corn was totally destroyed. So his crop, it was totally destroyed, and it was very frustrating for Lencho. All his hard work, it had come to nothing. So Lencho's soul was filled with sadness. When the storm had passed, he stood in the middle of the field and said to his sons, "A plague of locusts would have left more than this. The hail has left nothing. This year we will have no corn." So अपने खेत के बीच में खड़ा होकर लेंचो, he felt so sad and he told his sons, अपने sons को वो बताता है कि a plague of locusts would have left more than this. Now what does this mean? So a swarm of insects. So locust, actually it is an insect, it is of the grasshopper species. So a swarm of insects that attack and destroy the crop. So he says even if that swarm of insects would have come, they would have left more than what hailstorm had left. Hailstorm had actually left nothing. So now totally his crop was destroyed. He was sad and he felt that that year they were not going to get anything. So this year he says they'll have no corn. So this is the attack, locust attack. You can see the insects. Now what happened? So all through the night, Lencho, he was sad and he only thought of his one hope. So they had only one hope, and that hope was help of God. So whose eyes, as he had been instructed, see everything, even what is deep in one's conscience. Now what does this mean? As he had been instructed. So who has instructed Lencho about this? So this, it gives us an idea that during the childhood, maybe, so he was told and he was instructed and guided that God helps everyone. God is there, or God is watching everyone. So therefore, Lencho's only hope was God. So he believed in God, he had firm faith in God, and at this moment of distress, he felt that it was only God who could help him. So now what he did next, let's see. So this instruction is what he had learned maybe during his childhood. So now Lencho, he was an ox of a man working like an animal in the fields, but still he knew how to write. The following Sunday, he wrote a letter to God. So now this was his plan. So how he wanted, or how he thought that he would take help from God. First, let's do what is was an ox of a man. So it is again a metaphor that is used for Lencho's hard work. So metaphor to denote his hard work. So he worked throughout the day in his fields like an animal, but this kind of natural disaster, so there he could do nothing. So therefore he wanted to take help from God. So the following Sunday he wrote a letter to God. Now unlike other farmers, Lencho, he knew how to write. So therefore he wrote a letter. So now what he wrote, let's see what he wrote in the letter. So he said, God, if you don't help me, my family and I will go hungry this year. I need 100 pesos in order to sow my field again and to live until the crop comes because the hailstorm. So he wrote everything and he demanded for 100 pesos. Now, why he demanded for 100 pesos? So he says that because he needed money to sow his field again, and until that crop is harvested and he goes and sells that crop into in the market. So till then, to survive, he needed that money. So this is what he writes in the letter. So let's see what happens next now. So he wrote to God on the envelope and he put the letter inside and still troubled went to town. So to God, so he's written, addressed that letter to God, and then still troubled he went to town. Still troubled because he was thinking that what's not going to happen now to his family. They were left with nothing. So how they are going to survive throughout the year. So he went to town to post it. So at the post office, he placed a stamp on the letter and he dropped it into the mailbox. So now the letter is into the mailbox. Now, what happens next? So, a postman, he comes there, so he finds that letter and he takes it to the postmaster laughingly. So, now when that postman reads the address on that envelope and he finds that it is addressed to God, so he laughs a lot and he takes that letter to the postmaster. Now, at first, the postmaster, who was a fat and amiable fellow, he also laughed, but then he commented. Amiable means friendly. He was fat, but he was friendly, genial. So he also laughed at first, but then suddenly he stopped and he commented, "What faith! I wish I had the faith of the man who wrote this letter, starting up a correspondence with God." So he says that this man, he has such faith in God. He he said that I wish I had such kind of faith. So he says that his faith is so much that he even started a correspondence with God. So postmaster, he was astonished and he was touched by the faith of Lencho. So what he did, so, in order not to shake the writer's faith in God, the postmaster came up with an idea. So, then he thought of something. So, he said that maybe he was thinking that these kind of people, they are nowhere to be found. So, he decided to answer the letter. So, this was his idea. Now he had not opened the letter yet. So, but when he opened it, it was evident that to answer it, he needed something more than goodwill, ink, and paper. So now, when he opened it, obviously he realized that to answer that letter, he needed something more than goodwill, ink, and paper. So, what was that something more? Money. He needed money. So the postmaster collected money. He himself gave a part of his salary. So postmaster ने पैसे इकट्ठे करने शुरू किए. So थोड़ा सा उसने अपनी सैलरी में से हिस्सा दिया. Then he asked from the other employees and friends, and they collected some amount of the money. So it was impossible for him to gather together 100 pesos. So he was able to send the farmer only a little more than half. So half से थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा वो envelope में डाल के जो है लेंचो को भेजते हैं. So the following Sunday, Lencho came a bit earlier than usual to ask if there was a letter for him. So Lencho, because he was expecting that God is going to answer his letter, such was his faith. So he came a little earlier the next Sunday because he was waiting for his letter. So the same postman who had first laughed at him handed him the letter. So the same postman, he goes to Lencho और Lencho को वो letter पकड़ा देता है. Now जो postmaster है, so he looked at Lencho from his office with a feeling of satisfaction of helping a man in need. So postmaster अपने office से Lencho को देख रहा है. So he is feeling that he has done something good, he has done a good deed. तो वो लेंचो के फेस पे वो satisfaction, वो happiness, वो देखना चाहता है. And he too himself is feeling satisfied to help a man in need. So he had performed a good deed. So from his office he is watching. But let's see what happens. Lencho showed not a slightest surprise on seeing the money. Such was his confidence. But he became angry when he counted the money. God could not have made a mistake, nor could he have denied Lencho what he had requested. So such was his faith. So Lencho, उसने लेटर खोली और मनी काउंट किया. तो मनी ऑब्वियसली 100 पीसों से थोड़ा सा कम था. सो लेंचो को गुस्सा आ जाता है बिकॉज लेंचो कुड नॉट थिंक दैट गॉड हैड सेंट हिम लेस अमाउंट. सो ही वॉज फीलिंग कि जितना उसने कहा है गॉड ने तो उतना ही भेजा होगा. सो गॉड कैनॉट मेक एनी मिस्टेक. So immediately Lencho went up to the window to ask for paper and ink. So उसी time window पे जाता है और paper और ink demand करता है, and then he again starts writing another letter. After finishing writing, he affixed a stamp on it and put it into the mailbox. So now again, after writing the second letter, envelope में डालता है, and again he puts that letter into the mailbox. So he's done his job. Now the postmaster, he could not wait to read. Now the postmaster जो अपने ऑफिस से लेंचो को देख रहा था, he could not wait to read that second letter. Now what the postmaster must be hoping? The postmaster actually would be hoping that in that second letter लेंचो ने बहुत धन्यवाद किया होगा गॉड का. So he was thinking it to be a gratitude letter. So he goes and he takes the letter and he reads it. So therefore he himself went to open it. So postmaster खुद ही जाता है वो letter. He is so much excited कि वो अपने आप ही जाता है वो letter को लेने के लिए. So now what the second letter says. God, of the money that I asked for, only 70 pesos reached me. Send me the rest, since I need it very much. But don't send it to me through the mail, because the post office employees are a bunch of crooks, Lencho. So this is what is there in the second letter. So when postmaster would have read this, what he would have felt. So he performed a good deed. He helped a person in need. So obviously the person did not know who did that, but the letter was not at all a gratitude letter. So the letter actually called the postmaster and his employees and everyone who had contributed for the money as bunch of crooks. So here actually comes the irony. This is an unexpected twist. So this is the story. So the story actually does not say that you should not help anyone. Good deeds, they should be done anyway, whether they are acknowledged or not. But the story also talks about the innocence of Lencho. Lencho, he is an innocent man. He doesn't know the reality. So he is not at all practical, and he feels and has a firm faith in God. So he doesn't have faith and trust in humans, but his faith in God is unrelenting. So now we come to the theme. So this is the theme that I have just discussed. The theme of the chapter, A Letter to God, is that faith keeps us going through difficult times. So Lencho had lost everything. He didn't even have a penny to survive. Under these conditions, it is his faith in God that keeps him going, though he doesn't have any faith in the people around him. So actually it was the people who helped him. So God actually would be helping us through people only. But Lencho, he doesn't have any faith in people, and he has faith in God. So the story also talks about the difference in the perspective of both the characters in the story. Lencho feels the money is sent by God and God cannot be wrong. So he calls his benefactors a bunch of crooks. So this is Lencho's perspective. Lencho को लगता है कि God गलत नहीं हो सकता, और ये जो पैसे इसमें कम है वो पोस्ट ऑफिस एम्प्लॉयज ने लिए हैं, और एक्चुअली पोस्ट ऑफिस एम्प्लॉयज ने तो हेल्प किया, तो वो उसके बेनिफैक्टर्स हैं, बट ही कॉल्स दोज बेनिफैक्टर्स as a bunch of crooks. On the other hand, the postmaster sympathizes with Lencho's blind faith. He knows no help is going to come from God, thus help. So postmaster का perspective है कि उसको sympathy होती है Lencho से. He feels that he is an innocent man, तो उसकी help करनी चाहिए. So he helps. He wants to see Lencho satisfied and grateful after receiving the money, but that doesn't happen. So there's another theme that runs into the story, that is compassion of the postmaster for Lencho affirms the presence of sensitive people in this world. So another theme is that still in this world there are sensitive people like postmaster who help other people who are in need. So faith and humanity prevail in the world because of such people. The postmaster serves as a messenger of God who helps Lencho, but ignorant Lencho fails to acknowledge it. So on one hand, if there are innocent people like Lencho, so there are sensitive people like postmaster too in this world. So this is the theme. So theme is that faith keeps us going. Then there's a difference in the perspective of the two characters. So no one is wrong actually. And then presence of sensitive people that keeps the world going on. So this is the theme. Now, message. The chapter conveys that during difficult times one should have firm faith in God. Sincere prayers, they are always answered. So prayers, they are answered, and prayers, they'll be answered through people only. God is not going to come down on earth to help you. So God has his own ways to send help. One should not dare to extend a helping hand to the needy even if help is not acknowledged. So the message is that we should not stop helping others even if we don't, or the other person don't feel grateful. We should keep on helping the people who are in need. So do good deeds and have faith. That is the main message that is given by the story. Irony. This is an important question from the chapter. So there is marked irony in the chapter. Lencho, whose only hope was God, wrote a letter to God asking for 100 pesos to survive the storm. His faith in God was such that he didn't suspect God to have sent him less amount. Therefore, he blamed the post office employees to be dishonest. So लेंचो उसका गॉड में इतना फेथ था कि वो 1 मिनट के लिए भी गॉड पे शक नहीं करता है कि गॉड ने कम पैसे भेजे होंगे. सो पैसे फिर कहाँ जा सकते हैं? सो ऑब्वियसली वो पोस्ट ऑफिस एम्प्लॉइज को ब्लेम करता है क्योंकि लेटर उनके पास आई है तो उन्होंने पैसे निकाल दिए. सो आयरनी लाइज इन द फैक्ट दैट लेंचो वाज अनग्रेटफुल टू हिज बेनिफैक्टर. सो जिन्होंने मदद की लेंचो उन्हीं को चोर समझता है. ये आयरनी है. Now it was postmaster and the other employees of the post office who collected money to give to Lencho so that his faith in God was not shaken. Ironically, Lencho distrusted them who actually acted as messengers of God. He would have starved if the post office employees had not helped him. Now, अगर postmaster नहीं हेल्प करता, हंस के वो लेटर छोड़ देता वहीं पे, तो उसे लेंचो को पैसे नहीं मिलते एंड वो वो और उसकी फैमिली जो है वो भूखे मर जाते. Now irony again became conspicuous when Lencho asked God in his second letter not to send rest of the money through mail, as according to him the post office employees were a bunch of crooks. So another irony और भी ज़्यादा कंस्पिक्वस हो जाती है जब लेंचो लेटर में मेंशन करता है. सो ही रिक्वेस्ट गॉड कि जो नेक्स्ट टाइम जो पैसे भेजने हैं, जो बचे हुए पैसे हैं, वो मेल से नहीं भेजने, बिकॉज द पोस्ट ऑफिस एम्प्लॉयज they are bunch of crooks. So this is the irony. Now we have this self-evaluation test. So these are the questions. You'll be solving these questions and I'll be giving the answers in my next video. Now, since it is already January, so I would like you to revise the chapter completely as if you are preparing for your final exams. So at least there are 35 plus questions. So at least from every slide, try to solve 2 questions. Solve 2 questions means write them. So write at least 2 questions from every slide. I hope you cannot write 35 plus questions. You cannot answer them all, but at least 2 from each slide so that you can check your preparation. So these are the questions. You can pause, you can read the questions, and any 2 questions that you feel are important, write them. Give a written practice. Only then you'll come to know that your chapter is prepared or not. So here we have the questions. Next is a long question. I think these are 2 marks question. Yes, so this is a long question. It is because of people like the postmaster that humanity still exists in the world. So you have to comment. This is one extract-based question. And next we have MCQs. I think there are 8 MCQs. So you can just answer these MCQs. And remember that you need to remember the name of the author if you can. For poems, it is very, very important. In MCQs, you can get such questions. So these are the image credits, and that's all for today. So do check the playlist for other chapters and poems. It is revision time, so one by one keep on revising chapters and poems analytical paragraph, because this is the thumbnail for the latest analytical paragraph that came in the December test. Now why I'm saying so, because in the December test you were not able to answer this question very perfectly, so you need practice. So watch this video, and there's a complete guide of writing section. I have covered letters and I've covered analytical paragraph. Follow me on Instagram Link I have given in the description box so that you know what my next video is going to be. Check the playlist, and I am trying to give you a revision schedule, and also I'm trying to do grammar live. So if possible, I'll be streaming live for grammar so that I can take your queries side by side, but I am just maybe if it is possible. So subscribe for my channel so that I can give you more before your exams. So happy preparation. Bye for now.